Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Mixed Text and Politics. If you have not done so, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. All right, let's get started here. So, in case you have not heard, this very big story happening right here in Texas about the Army sergeant back in 2020 who shot and killed a Black Lives Matter protester holding an AK-47. He has been convicted of murder. This happened on July 25th, 2020. He ended up in the middle of a Black Lives Matter march and had an altercation with protester Garrett Foster, who was carrying an AK-47. Perry shot Foster dead. Perry claimed it was self-defense, but on Friday, a jury found him guilty of murdering Foster. So that's a little bit of the backstory right there of what happened in a nutshell. Now, let's go down a little bit. This is Daniel Perry right here, the man who has been convicted of murder. And this is the Black Lives Matter protester who had an AK-47, and that's his fiance right there. Now, defense lawyers said that Foster raised an AK-47 at Perry, and Perry fired in self-defense. Witnesses have said during the trial that Foster never raised his rifle at Perry. Who are these witnesses? Now, there are tons of BLM protesters there, and we all know that there is a large amount of protesters who wreaked havoc across the country. Burned down buildings, looted, and hurt people and things like that. Plenty of video across the internet, despite the peaceful protest notion that CNN wants you to believe. Now, Perry's defense attorneys in their closing arguments insisted that he had no choice but to shoot Foster 5 times as he approached Perry's car with an AK-47. Prosecutors said Perry had plenty of choices, including driving away before he fired his revolver. Guillermo Gonzalez, prosecuting, said Perry's posts on social media showed that he was opposed to protesters. Now let's check out what his social media post said. Let's check this out. This is the apparent Twitter page of the alleged Twitter page of Daniel Perry. Apparently, this is him. It looks like a picture of him, but it has the same name as him, so it could be him. He says, "F that S. You shoot center mass. It is a bigger target too. Still drops him. Even if you shoot them in the leg, there is a major artery that will cause the person to bleed out in just a few minutes." There's more. "Now is the time to take up arms and protect yourselves against violence." This was on May 30th of 2020, right at the beginning of these riots. Now, these messages don't really show intent. That does not mean that he is planning on killing somebody. All he's saying is, if you're in that situation, the way to stop somebody is shoot him center mass. That doesn't show intent. Now is the time to take up arms and protect yourselves against violence. Same thing. I fully agree. You have to protect yourselves against these situations. I carry myself. I know a lot of other people who do as well for protection. And when you have things going on across the country, there's a lot of rioting going on and lawlessness. It's greatly advised to protect yourself against this mess. So this does not show intent, that he's intending to kill somebody. I mean, anybody, I could say that, and I totally agree with this guy when he said this. Now, let's watch a little bit of video. Now, I'll post this in the link below. You can watch this shooting, incident of what happened, because I don't know if YouTube will allow me to play this, but I will put it in the link below, in the description box below. You can watch the video yourself. You can hear the shooting. But here's an interview with Garrett. Check this out. This is before he got shot.
Tell us a little bit about the gun again. Oh, it's AK-47. What you got it out tonight?
They don't let us march in the streets anymore, so got to practice some of our rights.
Cool, man. Do you feel like you'll need to use it?
Nah, I think I mean, if I use it against the cops, I'm dead. And I think all the people that hate us and, you know, want to us are too big of to stop and actually do anything about it. So
Why'd you start carrying?
Well, our roommate got arrested and they stopped letting us march anywhere, so started carrying.
All right, so that's him being interviewed before this happened. The guy asked him, do you plan on using it tonight? He said against the cops. He doesn't plan on using it against the cops because he'll end up dead. And he said for all the, I think he said the PUSSYs who are hating on us, something to that effect. You know, they're too scared to find out or something like that. He was talking tough. And you see he looks like he's dressed for combat. And that's exactly what the defense attorney said. Gonzalez said Perry drove angrily into the crowd, even though he could clearly see the protesters marching from 3 different angles. The state argued Perry sped into the crowd, but that was disputed by the defense's expert witnesses who used science and data to track the speed of his car. The expert testified he was slowing down when his car entered the demonstration. Doug O'Connell, defending Perry, said prosecutors wanted the jury to believe Perry had an evil plan when he turned right. Protesters didn't know anything about Perry when they attacked the car and boxed it in. And Daniel had no choice and it could have happened to anyone. O'Connell argued that Foster was dressed for battle at the protest, including wearing a neoprene vest and under his t-shirt and carrying an AK-47, a club, and a knife. Perry was wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. Garrett Foster was dressed for war. Daniel Perry is dressed for the beach. I mean, that's true. This guy had an AK-47 strapped around his chest, which is legal in the state of Texas. You can open carry here. Totally legal. He had a knife and a club. And you see he has the hat on with the face covering. And you also saw 2 morons behind him wearing the medical COVID mask, pulling it down while they're talking to each other, which is stupid, by the way. But I think that if you compare the two, what they're wearing, yeah, one guy is dressed for combat. One guy is in his car wearing flip-flops. Doesn't sound like to me he's dressed to kill anybody. I'm not saying that you can't kill anybody with flip-flops on. You can have intent to do so with flip-flops, but you just take a look at the two. Now, my opinion is, for one, why are you boxing cars in, protesting in the middle of the streets, which is illegal? You can't block traffic. Why are these people shutting down streets and walking in the middle of the streets and surrounding cars? People are going to start fearing for their lives. When you do that, people they think of 2 things, fight or flight. You have an option either drive off and your car is surrounded by people. You drive off, you run people over, you kill or hurt multiple people, or you defend yourself with a firearm. If you don't have one, if you have kids in the car or something, you may just want to drive off. But people are terrified for their lives when these things happen. We saw it many times during the protests. People were driving off, running people over because they wanted to get away. They were scared for their lives. Now, let's take a look at this picture right here. Here's a picture of, you can see it circled in red. Foster has his arm raised up like he's pointing a gun at the window. Now, Daniel Perry, the guy who's been convicted of murder, says that he did fear for his life and he wanted to stop him before he got shot. Now, if you're at the intersection, you have a mob of raging BLM protesters surrounding you, and you have one guy come up to your window with an AK-47 in his hand, what are you supposed to do in that situation? I mean, and you have a gun on you, You don't know if this guy, what this guy's intent is, what he's going to do. Is apparently he says he was telling the guy, he was telling Daniel to move along, but he pointed his gun at the window. So I don't know. You have all these people here. Of course, they're going to take the side of Foster. They're not going to stick up for Daniel Perry. I mean, they're going to say, no, he didn't raise the gun at him. Of course, they're going to say that. They're a bunch of mobsters. I mean, these people are sick. I mean, these people are sick in the head, in my opinion. Now, there's been a lot of calls for Greg Abbott to pardon this guy. And Greg Abbott has spoken about this issue. And Attorney General Ken Paxton has signed on to this idea right here. Texas Pardons Board investigation Sergeant Daniel Perry case after conviction and shooting of 2020 BLM rioter. Now, this is what the board said. The board will be commencing that investigation immediately. The board will report to the governor with recommendations once the investigation is complete. The board did not reveal how long the inquiry would take or whether an appeals process is required ahead of the recommendation. Now, this is what Greg Abbott had to say. I'm working as swiftly as Texas law allows regarding the pardon of Sergeant Perry. Let's take a look at this. All right. This is what Greg Abbott had to say. Texas has one of the strongest stand your ground laws of self-defense that cannot be nullified by a jury or a progressive district attorney. Unlike the president or some other states, the Texas Constitution limits the governor's pardon authority to only act on a recommendation by the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Texas law does allow the governor to request the Board of Pardons and Paroles to determine if a person should be granted a pardon. I have made that request and instructed the board to expedite its review. I look forward to approving the board's pardon recommendation as soon as it hits my desk. Additionally, I have prioritized reining in rogue district attorneys, and the Texas legislature is working on laws to achieve that goal. So Greg Abbott has spoken about this, and he is taking action on it. And Attorney General Ken Paxton has agreed with this. So there is some movement on it. We don't know how long it will take and what the outcome will be. But do I think this guy should serve life in prison? No, I don't. I don't think so, because I don't think this guy was driving around looking for trouble. I do believe that Foster was looking for trouble. If you're dressed in, you have a knife, you have a club, you have a gun, you're dressed in combat gear, I believe this guy was waiting for trouble to find him. He was going to look for it. I mean, why would you raise an AK-47 at somebody? I don't know if he was going to shoot him or not. I don't know what his intent was. Maybe he was saying, hey, move along. I don't know. But that's the risk you take when you lift an AK-47 at somebody. There's a chance you will get shot, especially here in the state of Texas, where there are a lot of gun owners. A lot of people do carry on them for protection. And Texas is a very big Second Amendment state. We have constitutional carry. We have open carry, things like that. So we'll see what happens with this case. Now, of course, the other side is going to say this is the... Actually, I read an article from the Daily Beast, or as Dan Bongino would say, the Daily Yeast. And it was saying that Greg Abbott is taking... It was from Yahoo, but it was from the Daily East. It said that Greg Abbott is taking orders from the right, from right-wing pundits like Tucker Carlson, and he's going to pardon somebody. Witnesses say that he didn't raise his gun. He could have done something. He could have driven off. And he's setting a dangerous precedent for people across the country. Of course, that's what the left is going to say, but look, you walk around with an AK-47, you go to somebody's window with it, and you have who knows how many people surrounding your car, you're going to feel threatened. And you're going to want to take action. You're going to want to defend your life with either a gun or you're going to drive off. He could have driven off, but who knows what would have happened? Maybe he would have killed 10 people. You don't know. Maybe he would have had multiple people start shooting at him. I don't know. But we'll see what happens with this case. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that he should be pardoned? What is your opinion on this case? Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.